Good day to everyone. Appreciate you joining us. My name is Michael Clark, Immediate Past President of the Conference of Consulting Actuaries and Managing Director at River Mercantile based out of Denver, Colorado. I'm joined today by Alejandro Ortega. Alejandro is the President of the Organization of Latino Actuaries is one of the founding members of the organization as well. We'll talk a little bit about that today. He's a fellow of the Casualty Actuarial Society and a member of the American Academy of Actuaries. He was most recently Chief Actuary for Latin America for AIG and continues to be an instructor for the Infinite Actuary Exam 7 CAS course. Alejandro, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's great to chat with you again.
Absolutely. Let's start off. Let's talk a little bit about the Organization of Latino Actuaries, just for those that might not be as familiar with that organization. Can you tell us a little bit about what HOLA is and what you guys are aiming to achieve?
Yeah, so the HOLA, the Organization of Latino Actuaries, our goal is to increase the number of Latino actuaries. We saw that there's a dearth of Latinos in the profession, and it's really clear when you attend the CAS and SOA conferences that this is the case. And so a few of us got together and decided that we wanted to do something about it. And so it sprung from an idea several years ago, and then slowly building up on execution. And now we're, a nonprofit that supports a number of students, but a lot of our work is on helping students. We call them candidates because there's some career changers as well, enter the actuarial profession.
And there's about, you guys have been in existence now for about 6 or 7 years, I think, since 2014, is that?
Less than that, actually. So we became incorporated in 2017, I want to say July or August. What became the board at that time had been meeting relatively regularly for about a year and a little less regularly for about 18 months. So really the beginning of 2016 is the origins of HOLA, although certainly those conversations in 2015 and the original ones that I had were actually with Marcela Granados, also one of the founders in 2012. She approached me and said, hey, can we find the Latino actuaries? And at the time, we didn't go much further with it than that.
And let's talk about those of you that are founding members of the organization. How did you all come together? I mean, I've gotten to know Adelaida Campos, who was HOLA's president last year through my interactions with her when I was president of the CCA. But now, how did you guys come together? Because I know Adelaida's based on the West Coast. You're based out of Florida. You've got people in other places. So how did you all come together? Did you all know each other beforehand? Tell us a little bit about how you guys all came together to form this organization.
Yes, I mentioned Marcela. Marcela Granados, she's at EY now. We used to work together at AIG, so she wanted to do something. Again, we didn't get a lot of traction in 2012. I met Regina Quintana at CAS meetings, and we had conversations about how do we change this in 2014 and 15. And we started to have phone calls, what can we do? And I had a lunch with Adelaida Campos in Los Angeles one year when I was visiting. I want to say that was 15. And how can we do something? And at the time, a lot of it was just mentoring students that we would find. If we found a Latino student who was looking to enter the profession, we'd reach out and say, hey, can we mentor you? Can we help you? Can we provide you some connections? That kind of a thing. And then Danny Fernandez, also CAS member, joined us. And then Adelaida met Carlos Orozco at the SOA annual conference, I want to say at the end of 2015. And then he was so the six of us are the founding members. But it was just from a desire to change the fact there's very few Latinos in the profession, and how can we go about doing that?
So thinking about those initial students that you would reach out to and find, how did you find them? I mean, how did you know that there was people out there taking exams that were Latino that you might be able to provide help to? That I've got to imagine that's a little bit difficult. Clearly different than what you do today, and we'll get into some of that in some of my later questions. But those initial candidates, how did you come across them?
Yeah, that's a good point. Frankly, I don't really remember too much. If somebody clicked a like on my LinkedIn post, I'm very active on LinkedIn and have been for a number of years. So if somebody put something on my LinkedIn or sent a message or put the like on it, I might look into them and say, hey, looks like you're studying actuarial science at Santa Barbara. Can I help you? I also know a few professors, and so if they had any students that we could help, they would send them our way. But at the beginnings, it was sort of these ad hoc connections.
Excellent. Now, one of the things that I became familiar with a couple of years ago is this SOA CAS joint study on diversity within the profession. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of those key findings? I think it would be useful for the people that are listening to this to just understand why this is important and what HOLA is doing, how that relates to the findings of this study.
Yeah, so the CAS, the SOA, IABA partnered, and they hired an organization to help to figure out what are the issues that are leading to a diversity problem in the actuarial profession. The study was done in 2017 and released in 2018. Excuse me. If I had to summarize the results of the study in one word, it would be access. Right, so it's lack of access, and we can break that down to a number of different specific issues. One of them is low awareness. A lot of Latinos simply aren't aware of the profession. If you're not aware of the profession, you're not going to enter it, right? They're aware of doctors, they're aware of lawyers and teachers and folks in the medical profession, but an actuary, engineer, they're aware of, right? But not actuary. Another one is late entry to the recruitment process. Maybe somebody likes math or statistics or business, and they're a junior in college and they hear about this. Well, frankly, as a junior in college and you just hear about the profession, you're late to the game. It's not impossible to get in, but you can't even do an internship for the summer after your junior year anymore because the interviews finished in September and October of the beginning of your junior year. And realistically, to have a chance at even getting those internships, you need to have an exam, and that takes several months to study for. And so late entry into the recruitment process is another obstacle for our students. The personal and professional network, knowing people in the industry, this is a very particular type of role. You know, simple things like knowing to put the exams at the top of your resume and not down at the bottom with your other skills, right? That is huge. You're going to get passed over for not having exams if you put them at the bottom. Knowing about the industry and what actuaries do is key, and the way that you develop that knowledge is by speaking to people in the industry. A lot of our candidates don't have access to professionals in finance and insurance, and so they don't have the context to talk about these industries when they're interviewing. And frankly, that is going to be very difficult to succeed in that interview if you don't have the context about the industry. And then the exams, the cost of the exams, to properly study for an exam costs about $500. The exam fee, I think, is $275 now, and then study materials is about $200. And then it's a serious time commitment. Another issue that our students face is Latinos will, after failing their first exam, have a lower probability of taking another one. They're more likely to say, you know what, I failed the exam, I guess this isn't for me. And so, we've created programs around a number of these obstacles to try to encourage our students to continue to pursue the profession.
Now, one of the things I want to hit on here, because I know HOLA has a number, and you've alluded to this, has candidates that are actually career changers as opposed to people that maybe came into it late in their university careers. But these are people that may have been out working in the workforce for several years and then came across the actuarial field and decided, hey, I want to do that. When you think about the candidates that HOLA helps, like what percentage would you say are in that category that are actually career changers as opposed to university students that are coming up through that pipeline?
Yeah, so we run a program called HOLA Academy, and I think at the end of the recruiting season, we had 165 candidates in the program. But when we were doing our major recruiting events a little earlier in the summer, it was 145. And so of those, about 10% were career changers. So these are folks who graduated from college, I think more than a year or two, and we're already working in some other industry, and we're looking to enter the actuarial profession. And we've had success in helping them enter the profession. They're typically not eligible for internships. Some companies will do internships or like a temporary role for experienced hires. But some of them we've been able to help land entry-level actuarial positions.
Excellent. I think one of the things that I found interesting in the report or that study on diversity was that lack of awareness, beginning even with the family connections, right? And one of the points that it made was that when you have even high achieving minorities, a lot of times their family background was such that they got pushed into more traditional roles, the legal profession, the medical profession, things like that, things that were known quantities. I thought that was really interesting. So what kind of things is HOLA doing as it relates to building that awareness?
Sure. So one of the memes on that, right, is a parent who says, why would you want to be an actuary? Why don't you become an accountant? Right? Which, if you've got the skills to become an actuary, I'd say become an actuary. Um, One of the things that we're doing to build awareness, so we spend quite a bit of time with college students. And I can talk a little bit about how we found those college students. But for now, I'll talk about what we're doing to get them earlier. So roughly 2% of new CAS and SOA members are Latinos. We can grow from 2% to 4, maybe even 5% just by focusing on students who want to be actuaries who are Latinos who are in college. To grow it even higher, currently 11, 12% of college graduates in STEM fields are Latinos. So we would like to get to at least that level, but frankly, the US population, 19% is Latino, right? So we'd like to get to that number. To go from 2% to there is a big jump. We can get to 4 or 5 just by focusing on the college students who have already interested in the profession. So what we're trying to do is get students earlier. So one of the things that we do to advertise the profession is a scholarship, right? We have a scholarship that we give out. They run from $2,000 to $5,000, and freshmen in college can apply. Even high school seniors can apply. And the goal, part of the goal of the scholarship, is just to advertise the profession to these students who may not be aware of it. And we just renewed a partnership with the National Hispanic Institute. They're an organization that works with college-bound Latino students around the country. And we've sponsored them again this year. And one of the things that we're going to do in the next month or so is host a webinar for their high school students so that they can learn about the actuarial profession. So they're giving us access to the 1,500 or so students that they work with around the country so that they can have an opportunity to learn about the actuarial profession. And that we encourage them to apply to our scholarships, as well as all of the other resources that both HOLA has and that the actuarial industry has for students as well.
Excellent. Thank you.